Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. UMNO eyeing at least 42 seats, while Pakatan to contest in all 56 in Johor state elections. This, as Anwar Ibrahim says, opposition is open to roping in all other parties. More on that coming up. Malaysia and Indonesia have agreed to implement a pilot project on the recruitment of 10,000 domestic helpers. Human Resources Minister Datuk Seri M. Saravanan said the project will start a week after both countries signed a MOU on the recruitment and placement of Indonesian domestic helpers early next month. During a meeting with Indonesian counterpart Ida Fauziah in Jakarta, Saravanan said Indonesia had also agreed to allow the entry of 10,000 Indonesian workers for the plantation sector. This will pave the way for the recruitment of 32,000 foreign workers in the plantation sector through a special exemption as decided by the cabinet meeting last April. Malaysia and Indonesia have also agreed to implement the one maid, one house concept, where an Indonesian domestic helper can be employed to work in a household of not more than 6 people. This concept replaces the earlier one maid, one task arrangement. Saravanan added that issues regarding the cost structure of recruitment will also be reviewed every 6 months. UMNO President Datuk Seri Ahmad Zaid Hamidi has been ordered to enter his defence on 47 charges involving funds from Yayasan Akal Budi. They include 27 money laundering charges, 8 bribery charges and 12 involving criminal breach of trust. High Court Judge Dato' Colin Lawrence Sequeira ruled that the prosecution had established a prima facie case against Zahid over misappropriation of funds totaling 124.31 million ringgit from the foundation.
Pasukan peguam saya akan meneruskan usaha-usaha guaman ini sebagaimana yang telah ditetapkan oleh mahkamah tadi, dan tarikh-tarikhnya juga telah ditetapkan. Dan tentunya keakuran ini berdasarkan kepada sistem perundangan yang sedia ada.
The Bagan Dato' MP has chosen to give sworn evidence from the witness stand for the defence stage of the trial. The hearing for the defence stage is scheduled to start on March 28th. The court then fixed 39 days for the trial between April 26th and November 10th. The Election Commission will have a special meeting on February 9th to discuss the key dates for the Johor state election. The special meeting will be led by EC Chairman Dato' Abdul Ghani Saleh to discuss the election writ, nomination day, polling day and the electoral roll that will be used. A press conference will be held after the meeting. Pakatan Harapan will rope in all the opposition parties, including Pejuang, Warisan and Muda, to contest in all 56 seats in the upcoming Johor state election.
Tapi ada beberapa persetujuan awal, kita akan membuka ruang, merangkul semua kekuatan pembangkang dan civil society untuk memastikan ada perubahan. Ya. Kalau ada sedikit keretakan itu tidak akan membantu. Jadi kita harus ada satu suara, satu tindakan dan satu strategi untuk memastikan kerajaan UMNO PN ini dikalahkan bermula di Johor.
Following this, he said Johor Pakatan Harapan would begin its seat negotiations on the ground. On the matter of logo, Anwar said a decision will be made in 2 days on whether to use the Keadilan or Pakatan Harapan logo for the Johor state polls. UMNO is targeting to contest at least 42 seats in the Johor state election, according to Deputy President Datuk Seri Mohamad Hassan. That is 7 more seats than what the party had contested in during the 2018 general elections. The figure, however, has not taken into account seats allocated for other Barisan Nasional component parties, which he said will be decided soon. On UMNO's cooperation in Muafakat Nasional to face the state election, Tokmat said the matter would be decided at a special Supreme Council meeting soon. However, Johor UMNO, he said, was more keen for the party to move solo with Barisan Nasional. The stage is set for the fourth state election since the start of the pandemic. What are the dynamics at play at the southernmost state of Peninsular Malaysia? We asked political analyst, Associate Professor Dr. Hamidin Hamid.
Johor state election was called by UMNO because it is a very much a strategic move for them to have a better government and win more seats in the next Johor state election, because that will give a very strong moral boost for UMNO in facing the general elections, the next general election. At the same time, I think UMNO want to ride the momentum that they have from the big win they have in Malacca. The situation in Johor is slightly different compared to Malacca. I don't think Johor UMNO will face similar situations as in Malacca. I think yes, UMNO have a better chances of winning more seats in Johor. However, I think still a big question to what extent they can form a new government just standing alone, or they can get 2/3 majority as previously practiced by UMNO in Johor. So I think it's going to be a tough time for UMNO in Johor at the same time, even though it is a very much a positive situation for them.
While Johor has been a traditional Malay battleground, the state elections this time around will also see the potential debut of new political parties. How will these parties affect the landscape in Johor?
I don't think the entry of Muda or Warisan will have a strong impact on state election, particularly in Johor. And I doubt Muda or Warisan have a strong influence, especially in some constituency in Johor, which I think very much difficult for new party to gain position, especially in the state where UMNO and Malay politics has been so dominated as in Johor.
We will go for a quick break. Stay with us.
Selamat datang ke Yang Mana Satu Idaman You. Jika anda ada RM109, mana satu yang anda mahu? 90 saluran Astro atau internet laju? Persoalannya, kenapa you kena pilih kalau semuanya ada dengan bundle jimat, internet laju dan 90 saluran Astro hanya RM109 sebulan sahaja? Kan? Call 03-7481-3000 sebelum promosi habis.
Bank Negara Malaysia telah menganggarkan jika kita tidak beralih ke kemampanan, Malaysia mungkin akan hilang revenue daripada ekspor sebanyak RM280 bilion setahun.
Jadi aspirasi TMB adalah mengurangkan sumbangan daripada penjanaan, daripada arang batu kepada yang lebih efisien. Contohnya kepada renewable energy ataupun tenaga diperbaharui.
Institutional investor seperti EPF sekarang dia ingin melihat sama ada syarikat-syarikat mematuhi kepada prinsip-prinsip ekonomi, social and environment, social and governance, ESG contohnya. Jadi syarikat-syarikat yang tidak melaporkan ESG mungkin tidak akan mendapat dana-dana dan sebagainya.
Kita telah letakkan bahawa kita akan menjadi pemacu kepada perbekalan solusi berkaitan tenaga yang mampan. Kita laksanakan aspirasi TMB untuk menuju kelestarian sehingga 2050 ataupun dikatakan sebagai net zero aspiration.
Welcome back. The Malaysian primary school syllabus must be catered according to the needs and development of children today. On World International Education Day, we speak to Teach for Malaysia's Chan Soon Seng about rethinking the school curriculum to simplify learning for children.
In terms of the amount of content that we pack into the curriculum in Malaysia, we do pack a lot of content into the curriculum. So, for example, a child in Standard 6 in Malaysia will do a minimum of 9 subjects, and if they're in a vernacular school, they have an additional 2 subjects, so that would be up to 11 subjects. And so for all of that to fit into a week for a child, what happens is that when you have too much in your curriculum and therefore in your timetables, children then end up having sort of like a touch and go experience. And so it's a breadth. You cover the breadth of the curriculum, but you don't really go as deep as you might need to be. Traditionally, our education system has, been the source of knowledge for students, but now, a kid can pick up a phone, can access the internet or a computer, and really find out a lot more knowledge than even a school might be able to deliver for them. And so when we think about the primary school curriculum now, actually, we've got to be asking ourselves not just the question of whether our curriculum is overpacked, but is it designed in a way that it meets the needs of kids today in order to set them up for the future that they're going to step out of school into.
Soon Seng also calls for more project-based learning for children.
A lot of primary school learning structures is that it's actually thematically based, or in Finland they call it phenomenon-based learning, where students look at a topic and over a course of weeks they explore this one particular topic. So let's say natural life, right? So let's say exploring animals, exploring the natural kingdom, the animal kingdom, plants and stuff like that. But you would then integrate all of the core skills that a child needs to learn. So literacy skills, numeracy skills, being able to communicate, right? And understanding the actual science content through a thematic learning experience or a phenomenon-based learning experience, where the kids would be doing projects over the course of a number of weeks over a time block, instead of going into specific subjects. So really shifting away to project-based learning, integrating the entire curriculum, and the competencies and skills that students then learn is something that gets integrated into that learning experience, instead of learning all of these things in silos.
To mark International Education Day, tonight on Consider This, we speak to Datuk Tan Yew Seng, chairperson of the National Education Reform Initiative, about the successes and challenges in providing quality education through the Chinese school system in Malaysia. Malaysian billionaire Tan Sri Lim Kok Teh has resigned as Genting Hong Kong chairman and CEO days after the cruise operator filed to wind up its business in what is seen as one of the biggest Asian corporate casualties from the COVID-19 pandemic to date. Genting Hong Kong's liquidation filing came just a week after its German shipbuilding subsidiary, MB Werften, went into insolvency after its $688 million lifeline was pulled back by the German government. Over the weekend, the Crystal Symphony, a luxury cruise ship operated by Genting Hong Kong, sailed to the Bahamas instead of docking in Miami as planned, after a US judge granted an order to seize the vessel as part of a lawsuit over unpaid fuel amounting to $4.6 million. Online bookings for some of other Genting Hong Kong's cruises have also been suspended. The United States has ordered the families of diplomats to leave Ukraine, while the UK has also started to withdraw staff from the British embassy in Kiev. This points to signs that the West is bracing for escalating tensions in the region. NATO said it was putting forces on standby and reinforcing Eastern Europe with more ships and fighter jets in response to Russia's military buildup at Ukraine's borders. The U.S. State Department also said that all Americans should consider departing immediately, as military action by Russia could come at any time. Tensions in Ukraine have been increasing for months after Russia amassed some 100,000 soldiers near Ukraine's borders. The West views that Russia is preparing for a war to prevent Ukraine from ever joining the NATO Western Security Alliance. Vladimir Putin views Ukraine as part of Russia's territory rather than an independent state. This sense of ownership has driven the Kremlin to try to block Ukraine from joining the EU and NATO. Putin is also using Ukraine as leverage for Western powers lifting their sanctions. Currently, the US has various political and financial sanctions in place against Russia. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching and good night.